here's Brody Brazil.
So I guess the Utah hockey team has existed for 2 weeks now, and we really don't have any type of imagery to go on. We've seen all black, we've seen the NHL's logo, and we've seen this. Something that says Utah with a little bit of an outline of baby blue, established 2024. As of right now, this is the only real logo, if that's what it is, of the Utah NHL team. They don't have a name. They have 8 possible names. Their owner, Ryan Smith, has come out to say that they have trademarked these 8 names. They'll do a tournament-style bracket competition to reveal the winner. But here's what I want to say about the 8 names that are trademarked. Number one, this is so super important in picking a name for your franchise. Teams and sports, they really don't ever get to do this twice. You get one chance. You can't be changing names every 2 to 3 years or even twice within the first 5 years alone. So you have to get this right. As we look at the choices, I think there are some that are definitely in the right category. There's a few that I hope are just fill-ins and floaters, and they're not actually being considered. I hope it didn't cost much to trademark those names because I hope the team absolutely never uses some of them. In picking a name, and if it really comes down to the fans, I hope they realize the need to sound like a big market. You don't want to pick a name that's already in use by a lower-level professional team or even a college team. This is the big leagues. This is the National Hockey League. It needs to sound big. It also kind of needs to sound unique, not only in the sport, but maybe to the Utah region as well. When you pick a name, you also have to think about the colors, the logo, the mascot, the uniforms. For a good franchise, everything kind of seamlessly fits together. So remember, you're not just picking a slick name. You need to think about a color scheme and what your mascot might be and how the uniforms might look. And all of that should make sense, but I'm not sure we actually think about that because how often is it that we name, in this case, like a brand new or revitalized team? Also this, given the time constraints of 4 months, maybe 2 months to figure out this name and start pumping out jerseys and merchandise, given the time constraints, and I realize they've been thinking about it already, I'd be totally okay with a temporary name like Utah Hockey Club. Then you can change it. After a year, when you get things right, when you're ready to go forward, you can do the temporary thing to the permanent thing, but you can't do a permanent thing to another permanent thing. I think the temporary name situation is no problem if that's ultimately what they settle on and they don't have enough time. But making this a bracket-style decision, that's interesting. It's competitive. I think it's fair. And wow, I can't wait to see how it goes. So without further delay, here are some of the 8 names under consideration. And by the way, at the end of this video, I will rank all 8 of these team names. I'll tell you my favorite top to bottom. The Utah Mammoth. Now I'll give you some pros and cons here on each. It's unique. It stands out. Mammoth to me sounds big, right? Oh, that's a mammoth this, that's a mammoth that. What a mammoth situation. It's also native to Utah, at least the woolly mammoth was native to Utah, and that's kind of where my pros end. Well, the cons start with this. Isn't a woolly mammoth an extinct animal? And some people have said the dinosaurs too. I don't know how you do that. Do you bring the mascot back as a woolly mammoth? Is the logo good enough for a woolly mammoth with the big tusks? And does it make sense? Is it appealing? Is it interesting? Is it intimidating? There's a lot to go on here. I do like the name, and I'll tell you right now, this is going to be one of my favorites, the Utah Mammoth. I think it goes. I think it flows. I just don't know if this is the absolute one, but it's definitely up there for the conversation. The Utah Ice. Really? I guess my pros start with this. The ice, or ice if that's what it is, it's about as simple as it gets. Utah Ice. Say that out loud a few times. There's literally, nothing else like it. Maybe in a good way, but probably for a bad reason. I don't have a lot of pros here for the Utah Ice, but it is one of the names under consideration. Like I said before, hopefully this is just a placeholder to throw everybody off of what they're actually planning to do. Cons, okay. You got a name. You're the Ice. What's your logo look like? Is it a block of ice? I would imagine your mascot might be a polar bear. But yeah, what would your mascot be for ice? And it's also just weird to say. Tonight's game is the San Jose Sharks against the Utah Ice. Ice is a thing that doesn't really have character. I don't think it's scary unless you have to walk on it in the dark and you can't see it. Ice just doesn't bring me any type of emotion. If they choose this, if the fans choose this, and I don't think they will, I'd actually be disappointed. And I've got no claim to any of this. Please no for the Utah Ice. The Utah Yetis. Now let me make a quick correction or alteration here. I'd rather see the Utah Yeti. I think Yetis, plural, is actually spelled out and spoken out singular. Utah Yeti. The San Jose Sharks taking on the Utah Yeti. Doesn't that sound better than the Sharks taking on the Utah Yetis? Maybe, maybe not. Here are my pros. I mean, this is creative. It's complex. You've already got a mascot, right? A Yeti is a Yeti. You've got the imagery already for that. And I'm pretty sure that they've done the research, at least on social media polls, and they've seen initial results that Utah Yetis is one of the fan favorites here early. And there's no question about it. This one has stuck out. I'll also throw in one other pro here. It's just the way it rolls off the tongue. It's kind of like the Utah Utes, Utah Yetis. It's the you thing going on. And it works. It's easy to say. Some cons would go like this, and there's really not many. What about the collision between the Utah Yeti or Yetis hockey team and the brand that produces coolers and drinkware? Would Yeti sponsor the Yetis or Yeti sponsor the Yeti? Yeah, and that's my con here. I really think that if you're going to go Utah Yetis, I think you should cut it down even more and just call it the Utah Yeti. Plural for Yetis is probably Yeti. Am I right about that? Look it up. This is one of my favorites right here, no question about it. I'll be honest. I mean, you're going to wait till the end of the video to see how I rank these. You already know this one's going to be way up there. Okay, how about the Utah Venom? Now, the pros go like this. That sounds pretty vicious. I mean, Venom can kill somebody. It's also short and brief. Utah Venom. It's 4 syllables, so that works. And I'm serious. Like, the league actually wants teams to call the Las Vegas Golden Knights just the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas Golden Knights. It's only 5 syllables for 3 words. Utah Venom. 4 syllables. The NHL has asked broadcasters to just say Vegas Golden Knights. 5 syllables, so you don't add in the 6th of Las Vegas, of loss with Vegas. Cons, well, here's one. Like I said before, you don't really want to steal anybody else's name. You don't want to be the name of, like an indoor football team that already exists. I think the logo is way too predictable, probably the mascot as well, too. If you're the Venom, you got to be a snake, right? And you're kind of limited in what you can do with the logo, and I think your color scheme has to be dark and ominous. You can't do anything like baby blue with the Venom. Snakes and stuff are dark, or dark green, or earthy colors. I don't think you do something bright and airy and popular. So, and maybe they're looking for that, but I kind of like the colors here on your screen. I guess those are Utah Jazz colors, aren't they? Oh, will they follow suit matching the hockey team with the NBA team? Kind of like Pittsburgh, how everything is black and yellow. Or is that gold in Pittsburgh? You know what I'm saying. Maybe all the Utah teams share a similar color scheme, but I just don't think the Venom really works with lighter colors. The Utah Blizzard. Now here's my pros. It's a wintry theme. Wait, isn't that kind of like the Avalanche? Oh, oops, sorry. That's a con. I'll get there in a second. It is a wintry theme. It kind of goes with hockey. It goes with the scene that's set of the mountains, the Wasatch Mountain Range. You like that I know that? And there's also the ZZ connection. So you have the Jazz, and you'd have the Blizzard. Not a lot of words, not a lot of tandem words that have ZZ in it. But you could have that connection between your hockey team and your basketball team, both owned by Ryan Smith. So the Utah Blizzard, not bad. There's a couple pros there. Here's some cons. Oh, yet again, another indoor football team already has that name. And there's just something about it, right? Once somebody else has called themselves the Blizzard, you're not original. And you never will be. You never can be. Isn't there also a DQ Blizzard? Isn't this a Dairy Queen milkshake that I can order, the Blizzard? I'm pretty sure I have ordered that on vacation in the summertime. And then, what about the Avalanche? And I realize you've already got the Kings and the Golden Knights, and so there's that kind of medieval theme already going on, but do you really need the Avalanche and the Blizzard? Like with no 2 cities separating Salt Lake and Denver? I don't know. Blizzard is fine. I don't think it's great. You probably know where that one fits for me on the list. The Utah Fury. Okay, here's some pros. It's symmetrical. 4 letters and another 4 letters. Utah AHFURY. It's strong. It's bold. It's got some word plays there. Utah Fury. Utah Fury. It's the San Jose Sharks taking on the Utah Fury. By the way, I use the Sharks in all my examples because that's my squad. I think it works. It's not bad. There's enough to it. It's a good start. Here's the cons. Oops, there's already a pro soccer team called the Fury. And then here's another con. Mascot, colors, what is a Fury? How do you represent that visually? A lot of the good team names have a visual that goes along with it. And it's not just a logo. And I realize you'll say, well, what's a Red Wing? I don't know, but I know what the winged wheel is, right? It's got to have something that is attached to the name, and it's got to be instantly recognizable. And I don't know what Fury, like what could you visually and graphically depict for Fury? I just don't know if there's much. The Utah Outlaws. You know, I guess that rhymes more than I realized. Utah Outlaw. Kind of rhymes. Utah Outlaw. 4 syllables again. Here are my pros. It's kind of got the villain type theme. Like you're outside the law. You're above the law. No, you're below the law. You're outside the law. Whatever. It fits the West, right? I guess Outlaws doesn't feel the same if it's east of the Mississippi River. There's something about being out west in a place like Salt Lake City where you're an outlaw. Can you tell I like saying it like that? So I kind of like the way it sounds. It does roll off the tongue. Utah Outlaws. The Utah Outlaws. It's not bad. But here is something bad. I looked it up. There are 12 other professional sports teams in North America that also call themselves the Outlaws. On that alone, you can't call yourself the Utah Outlaws. It's not one of the worst names, but it is so overused. It's also kind of too predictable. Well, we're out here in Utah where we got the Outlaws. I don't know. I'm not sure that it really is unique enough. Like I said, it's got to be unique. It's got to be bold. It does kind of fit the landscape, I suppose, but too predictable. Oh, it also kind of feels like an AHL team name. And I'm not knocking any of the American Hockey League teams or their mascots or their names, but let's be honest. Outlaws kind of does feel like the AHL affiliate of the actual Utah NHL team. Okay, how about Utah HC? As in Utah Hockey Club. This one has been trademarked. It has been reserved. They might use it. My pros go like this. It's a placeholder. You understand this may not be, probably won't be, the permanent name. But that might be disrespectful to all of those European soccer clubs, which are whatever, FC, Chelsea FC, Liverpool FC, football club, or I suppose in hockey in Europe. There's a lot of teams in Switzerland and Sweden that are HC, hockey club. So it is very European. It's not something we see in North America a lot. We love our city names plus a mascot. Overseas, it's the city name, hockey club, or football club. And they keep it that simple. And they can have a mascot and colors and a logo too, but their name is their city's name. So other places have done this, and if it is a placeholder, I'm totally fine with that. I've already proclaimed that. But the cons kind of go like this. It is a little bit non-committal. And it does kind of take away from excitement and momentum right now. And this team's going to go have its first go around. And you never really get a second chance to make your first impression. And if your first impression is just, well, we're Utah HC. Then when they change their name, it might confuse people down the line. Like, it's not optimal. I'm saying, and I've already said, it's okay if they go that route because they have to, because of this unreal time crunch. But I also realize that it's a little bit non-committal and it's not the best option to take advantage of the situation. You likely then would have no mascot, I guess, the first year, or you don't want to go too deep into that either, and then have to turn it around to something else that doesn't necessarily fit or change something because it didn't fit. And Utah HC also stands out, right? When you've got the Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, the Florida Panthers, Utah HC, the Carolina Hurricanes, the New York Islanders. You know what I mean? It doesn't fall into the format of anything or almost everything else. So I'm still okay with it. I realize this is an option. I said before that it's okay. Maybe as I think it out here, it's less okay, but I'm still not going to cross it off my list. And so now it's time to rank the names. Here's how I feel about the options and the 8 different names that have been trademarked for Utah hockey teams. Number 1, my top choice is the Utah Yeti. Not Yetis, plural. I'm saying Yeti singular. I think that rolls off the tongue. I think it's perfect for the situation. Mascot, colors, the opportunities are endless. The Utah Yetis. Utah Yeti, sorry. Utah HC is my second choice, and again, I'm only mentioning this as a temporary option if the logistics and the time and everything just doesn't work out. I think that's a good safety net. I think it's a classy way to go if there is no better option. Mammoth is my number 3 choice. That was one of the first I mentioned. I wasn't that hot about it, but quite honestly, over time, I think it's something I could get used to. At number 4, it's Utah Blizzard. Nothing else really than the ZZ connection. You have the Jazz and the Blizz. Maybe they're just the Blizz. Simple as that. Jazz and the Blizz. And maybe they could share the same Utah Jazz colors. I don't love it. I don't necessarily hate it. At 5 is the Utah Venom. Again, I just think there's not enough originality there. I don't know what else you can do besides the snake or the cobra or something else like that as your mascot. You're really kind of limiting yourself. Maybe Fury. I should have maybe flip-flopped these. Fury should have been 5. Venom should have been 6. But quite honestly, they're both kind of the same, uninspiring. They're equally straightforward, but there's really nothing to Fury. Maybe that's why, because there's not even a real mascot for Fury that it's number 6. The Outlaws, for me, are number 7, just way too overused. I don't want this team to feel like a minor league team or a team at a lower level of any sport. I just don't want them to go that route from the beginning. Utah Outlaws, yeah, sounds fine, but when it sinks in, I don't think it sits as well. And then the Utah Ice, get out of here. No chance. In the words of Joe Thornton, no chance, bud. I've never thought that was a good one. There's nothing to the Utah Ice. So there you go, 8 possible names. I gave them to you. I spelled it out. Who knows when they're going to have this bracket-style challenge for the fans, but quite honestly, they better get on it soon. Time is ticking. It's almost the start of May, June, July, August, and training camp starts in September, so they don't have a lot of time to implement everything that they'll need to do. Hey, you made it here to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll help me, this video, and this channel. And I'd love to see you back here next time, and the way to make sure we do that is to go down there right now and hit that subscribe button.